Hey, I'm Alex Room, and today we're going to be making a Mike Williams style drop, and that drop sounds like this. Okay, so this is the actual song. It's called Take Me Down by Mike Williams, and if you go ahead and listen to that, I tried my best to remake it as best as I could, and I think it sounds pretty close to the original. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to go layer by layer and replace these layers. So the bass line, I'm not going to talk you through how I made it. I'm actually going to just remake it for you and show you how exactly to make it, and that goes the same for all of these layers. So as you can see, I have a mess of leads here, but we'll get to that soon. And then I have, first version of the leads that I made and I didn't like, and I have my second version over here that I ended up liking. But we'll get to them. So first thing I did was I went on Splice. Actually, I am trying to use Splice because I've accumulated all these credits for not using Splice because I actually don't really like Splice, but I got this kick. It's an okay kick. The kick's in G though, and I don't think the song is. And then I made a sidechain. So go ahead and get your sidechain. This is at, oh shit, it's actually supposed to be at 128 BPMs, but looks like I left it at 126, and I can't change it because I have these leads bounced into an audio stem. Okay, so go ahead and open up a layer of alchemy because we have to make this bass line. Yeah, so go into alchemy and file and then clear, just so we get a nice default setting, and then I'm going to put this volume here. You guys are telling me over and over how to reset these knobs with some key commands, so I'm going to try it. I think I hold command and double click, and there we go. That is a halved knob, so apparently a lot of people don't like when I spend time getting this to go down, so I have to press command now and double click. There you go, boys. So let's go into A, and we're gonna load up a nice basic square wave. Sounds like that straight away. Nothing really special, but we have to make it special. So we're gonna go into global up here, come to the filter. I'm gonna right click this knob, add modulation to the second AHDSR. Mind you, it is not the first one, so by default it should say AHDSR1, and then you have to come down to new AHDSR because we can't use the amp envelope to shape this. Now we're going to shape this nice bass line. And then I'm going to come over here to tune and just bring it down an octave. Click this again. Make it as sub-bassy as I can. And I'm going to compress this thing as hard as I could, because everything in this drop is so smushed together. That's what gives it its nice distinctive sound. Well, it's not, well, I mean, it's one of the things that give it its nice distinctive sound. That's really it. I'm not even going to mess with anything else. Next thing I'm going to do is sidechain this bass line to the kick. or to the ghost kick. So what I did not film myself doing, because I had made this in advance, I made a ghost kick, which is simply the real kick that I just shortened a little bit with this thing here. I literally shortened it and, did all the side chaining stuff. This is not a side chaining tutorial, so you might have to go look that up if you're not sure what it means to side chain. But basically, I'm going to side chain this bass line here to that kick. Thankfully, I already made this bass line and side chained it to the kick. And it sounds like that. It's a little wacky sounding. If I could spend some time, like, that would definitely be something. If this was my song, I'd spend some time perfecting. But for tutorial purposes, I'm not going to spend too much time perfecting the sidechain. But that is how I made the sidechain. Next thing, there's a little hidden layer in there that's really hard to hear. This is in the original. I heard it. It's hard to hear though. It only comes in at certain points that you can hear it, but it's throughout the whole thing, and it goes nicely over the bass like this. And it's basically like that classic house sound. It's like I think they call it a house organ. So what this is it's the exact layer of the bass line. Whoops. So it's the exact layer of the bass line, only it's up 7 semitones. So let's go into clear, and it's also a sine wave. So let's go into basic sine. And then we have to grab this and go up 12. And then what we have to do is we have to go up 7 to detune it. 7 from 12. So it's actually 19 semitones up. And then we're going to make it a little bit of a pluck. Sounds like that. And then I ended up with this after compressing it. And layered nicely over this. And voila, we have our nice little hidden layer that is not obvious. So now the fun part, this mess of leads. So this here is a bounced out version of this, all these leads, and I'm going to go through each and every one of these layers individually. So, but what I did is I right clicked it and went bounce in place, and then I ended up with this just so I can have them all in the same stem. This would be like sending all your audios to one bus, or having, sub layers and whatnot. But what I like to do is I just like to bounce stuff into stems. So we have 4 layers that make that up. And I'm going to show you each layer, and I'm going to tell you, like, kind of describe the certain job each layer has. So the main sound you hear is this. And then we layer it with this. And the reason for that is just to add a little bit of noise around the main layer. And then we went ahead and added some reverb noise around both of those layers, and it sounds like this. Pretty much the same layer as this with a ton of reverb on it. And I turned the dry down on this a lot, and then I have the transient. Very important to get this right and to mix it right. And the reason is because we want it to be nice and punchy, but losing control of your transients can be a real shit show. Because this is a very loud sound if it's not managed well. And I had to limit it and compress it to fit it into this mix. But this interesting little thing is this was the first layer that I didn't end up keeping. So I had 4 layers that I ended up scrapping, which was this layer that I didn't end up using. And I'm going to play it real quick. That's what I went with first, but I didn't end up liking it because it just sounded weird to me. It didn't sound close to the original at all. So let's go through this. How did I make this first layer? Let me turn this down because this is like awkwardly loud. So we need to, again, go open up, cancel actually. I'm just gonna do this. First thing I'm gonna do is show you the Midi. So let's go into here. Oops. And this is the Midi right here. Not much to it. It's a very, very basic melody. Some offbeat, some directly on. And by off, I just mean there's notes like this. A couple notes like that that aren't really on a number up here. But yeah, very, very simple stuff. Looks like this. You can pretty much listen to the original and write down the exact notes that you hear. It's not hard at all. Not much to it at all. So, how did I make this? Well, let's go through that now and I'll describe how I made it. It's very, very easy. So we're going to come here, hold Command, and double click this volume knob so we can get it halved. Then we go to basic and then square. And the square pretty much dominates this drop because the bass line is a square wave and the leads are a square wave. Well, the leads are mainly a square wave. So let's do the same thing. Let's add this to a new ADHR or AHDSR. And then close it all up. And then pull the sustain down. Okay, so this is where we need to get really sort of, I guess, technical and make this sound right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these voices all the way up. And then we'll get something like that. And then what we need to do is make this a little bit warmer. Like that. And then I'm going to come into B and go to basic, square, and hold Command and double click, and let's go jack these numbers up again and pull this down. Only with this one, I'm going to bring it down just 12 semitones. So it kind of sounds like that, with a little hint of something down underneath. Then we got to come into here, obviously, take out all those artifacts. Just a little, you know, you get a lot of low end that we definitely want to get out of there so our bass line can breathe. And we can see a spike here, so it's a good idea to bring down that spike a bit. And we want these to shine, so let's bring these up just a bit. And that'll be those nice sparkly leads. So now what we need to do is we need to make the layers. Oh yeah, wait. I don't want to move on yet. The reverb we have to add to this is quite simple. It's kind of like a small room reverb. I listened to it over and over to kind of derive this, but the reverb's not big. The length is real short. Whoops. Oh wow, that sounded really nice with all the layers. Let's throw that up. So it's nothing crazy as far as length. You can even go shorter, I bet, and get away with it. Yeah, the reverb is small room reverb, so do not, forget to do that. I'm actually going to delete this because I don't even like that old layer. I'm going to keep this new layer because it just sounds better. So this layer is the layer we just made with minor adjustments. Now I will show you which minor adjustments that is. So here's the layer, but we have to come into here, alchemy, and change the squares, or one of the squares at least, to a saw wave. So that's that one, and then we got to change this one also to a square wave. I just did the same thing. Or change it to a saw wave. I don't know if I just said that. And then what I did is I actually detuned them pretty heavily. So it sounds like that, just to add some noise and brightness. Not really to add any dominance, but yeah, that's the layer I added. I complemented the first one with. So now that's 2 layers down. So now what we have to do is we got to make the high reverb layer. This layer is just for reverb. And you can see the volume of it is very, very low because, again, it's not one of the dominant sounds. It's more of an atmospheric layer that helps out the dominant layer. Layers are always there just to help out the dominant layer. They're not there to add, to add too much. We just need to add what is missing. So I added that missing reverb with another layer. And basically what I did is I duplicated the dominant layer and I turned on reverb and went like that. And went like, added a little bit more space. And it made for a nice layer. So that was that. Let's delete that. Let's go here. Yeah, I'm not really sure why the reverb just was turned off on that layer, but actually let me listen to it real quick. Yeah, that's right. So the last one is this transient, and this transient is one job, and that is to make this lead very, very punchy. We have to make it punchy. We're going to do that with a transient. So how did I do that? Well, I duplicated yet again. I duplicated this layer, but because I don't feel like duplicating it, I'm just going to come into here and show you exactly what I did to make this nice and punchy. I go into this area, click on AHDSR, and go over to the first envelope, pull this down. And I went like that, and I limited it, and I EQ'd it. Let's see the EQ. See, that EQ is, there's actually 2 EQs here. The first EQ looks like this. I had to jack up the highs, and then the lows I cut, but because of all this extra processing, the lows showed back up, so I had to take the lows out again, and I had to limit it. As you can see, I used the Fab Filter limiter, but you can use any limiter you want, even Logic's. I had to limit it and compress it, and I added some reverb to it, and then I got that. Now what I did is I took all this stuff and I bounced it in place, just because when you have this many layers, the volume gets really hard to keep track of. So it's really easy to just bounce it into place, and then you only have one volume. That's it. So get these all mixed together and then bounce them into place, and then that's it. You only have one volume. It's so easy. Because I was starting to lose track of the volume because I really don't like layering that much. And so then I ended up with this. And the cool thing about one layer is if it's too loud, I just pull it down. I don't have to go through all 4 layers and lower them simultaneously. So that is how I made the leads. And then of course I had to add extra noise. So when I play this drop, I'm actually turning the leads off for this real quick. You can see I added some noise. I layered these exact leads with just a clap from Ultrabeat, and it just adds noise. That's it. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I made this layer here. So if we play it with the leads, you can't really hear them, but they add a lot of noise. So without them, you could do that, but in the original there was a lot of noise going on, and that is how they these artists are filling up the atmospheres, is just adding little layers like that to just kind of fill out the atmosphere, because you don't want it to be too empty. And then last thing, just a little clap on top. And then of course in the second half I added this. And then this sound is basically just a kind of a future bassy sound. For a nice pack of future bass sounds for either Serum or Sylenth, you can go on my website, elektrumsound.com. I have a couple future bass packs that contain a bunch of sounds that sound exactly like that. So I'm not going to go through it. But I did make this, I did remake those sounds with Alchemy. But that's the drop. That's it. It sounds like this. And it actually sounds a lot better when we throw the multi-band compressor on it. So yeah, I mean, it's not like, you can add a lot more percussion to it to liven up the percussion a little bit, like a nice drum fill in this space here would be excellent. You definitely add some hi-hats and just have fun with it. But yeah, really simple stuff, really fun to make. Took a little while to make, but it was a blast. So there you go, guys. My name's Alex Rome. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.